highway today? Approval of the minutes. Second. Then move and second to approve the minutes of the highway committee. Is there any corrections or additions? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. What's the next thing?
Public input.
Oh, is there anybody from the public that has anything to say about the proof of our input on the agenda?
Anybody on Zoom?
Is anybody on Zoom?
One.
Nothing on there. Seeing none, we'll move. Number 4, action approved ability to purchase highway equipment based on availability.
So Tom, we've talked about when equipment becomes available, that if we had some mechanism that we would be able to purchase those. Last year, I believe, a vendor came and, said, hey, they had a truck available if we were interested. Obviously, they gave us an 8-hour window to respond back if we could purchase it. Was sold by the end of the day. So Tom has talked to Paul about this and kind of worked with Paul here with this to come up with some numbers. And so what we did was I kind of went through and looked at what our needs were. So we took a single axle plow truck, tandem axle, triaxle, and a quad axle. So the prices we got on each of those pieces of equipment, and then obviously when those pieces come, it's just the cab and the chassis. So then we have to have the winter equipment that gets added on. So we have the winter equipment separated from the quotes from those trucks. I think I did give you a handout with each of those spelled out. That's this one right here. So this one kind of details the single cab, a single cab chassis, the plow equipment, the tandem, triaxle, quad axle, and then we included the F350 and F450. The F350s are typically, we usually put 1 ton or a small box on that, a dump box. Those are our patrol trucks. The F50s are typically our foreman trucks that we'll use. Same thing with those come with just the cab and the chassis, and then we put specialized boxes on there. So whether it's a dump box, I put the price for a dump box, and then the truck box is typically, it's got a toolbox with cabinets on there. So we included those prices on there. So we kind of went from single axle being, cheapest of that up to the quad axle being the most expensive. And then, the F350 and 450. So they're about, about $4,000.
I have a question. Do they call that F350? Is that Super Duty now, or is that just a regular?
Yeah, Super Duty. Yep. Both of them are Super Duty. Yeah. Yep. So,
Sure. Before we get into that, I had talked to Mary Ann because I'm aware of what Tom's initiative is. Are we required to bid these vehicles out?
So we did bid out for the F350. So we were allotted 1 vehicle. So we have that bid one out. But we can also purchase off of a Sourcewell, and that is a state contract. So there's a blanket contract for the state. and we can purchase off of that.
So if we're purchasing from a local vendor, such as Quality Truck, we can purchase directly from them without bidding, as long as they match that state price. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you've cleared that with Mary Ann?
Well, that's where we're kind of, what we're doing is we want approval from the highway committee to move forward with this. So that's why I've asked Paul to come today,
Okay,
and that we'll move forward with this. And however, and Paul maybe can discuss the finance end of this, how we could do this, or.
are you aware of the statutory requirements?
I am.
Okay. State law, you have to bid. The municipality, you have to bid everything out to get the lowest price to benefit the taxpayer and all that kind of stuff. So if we're gonna just go out to a vendor and purchase at retail price, that might be a concern.
And right now.
I just wanna make sure we're doing,
Yeah.
what
Oh,
we're
yeah.
doing is within Mary Ann's approval, actually.
So
Can
basically.
we get that at some point then?
Yeah, and that's where we're gonna be moving into. So basically
Okay,
is
all
we
right,
just
good.
want, your approval to move forward with this, to pursue this.
So we're not
One thing
approving
is-
the purchase of just. to-
Absolutely not. Nope, this is
Alright.
just the opportunity to move forward potentially if this happens. 2024, they're sold out. Trucks are gone. Okay, not even available. But if somebody purchased one and backs out and it becomes available, that's where, like, I think last time, there was one of these, a triaxle or a quad axle, I think they put it together for a show. And it was a show vehicle,
Mhm.
so,
Convention, all that.
right. The potential of a vehicle coming available, I mean, probably slim. But, at least we would have the mechanism to at least try to move on one. So basically, yeah, this is just to move forward. So we put numbers together, range and what we would be looking for. And then now we start working with Paul, we can check with Mary Ann how we would do this.
So we need to have the money available in a liquid funding source that you could expend it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's gonna be however, we can come up with how to do this. I don't think this, as far as I know, we've never purchased any, had an option to do this before.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is all new for me, new for Paul, so, I mean, that's the biggest thing now is just, to try to move forward with this and, with that. Paul, you have any comments or?
I was just gonna ask,
Oh.
is this kind of similar to the contingency fund? Because that was always, you can go 15,000 more, now it's up to 40 without asking. Is that kind of what you're trying to do, same thing?
Well, I think,
Except we don't have a contingency fund to take it.
right,
PNF,
I think it's probably a little bigger than that. I know that Chairman Egan and the executive they've had several discussions on this matter. I kind of was in the room while they're discussing this. And I talked about it a few times. And whenever a truck seems to become available, we just can't buy it. And they're not gonna wait for us, supply chain and everything else. So they wanted to look at what could be done and present something, whether the money's not the problem. I'll talk to Carol, look it into another fund, or whether or not we be able to have something that authorizes us to spend money from that. But there needs to be a limit, whether it's something that's set up annually, that you can spend $500,000 or $1 million or some number, whatever is decided is the best number based on needs. You're looking at one truck, it's $500,000 probably to be able to get what you need. If you're gonna need to get more than $1 million, $750,000. The other option would be, this is short term, and say maybe this goes for a year or you vote on it for a year. It's not something that just stays open forever and ever. And then maybe we work on big stuff like this in the capital outlay budget portion of it in future years. But this is try to settle a need for the for a year basically. and hopefully things get better with supply and so forth, but this is, if something does come available, that we can get it without going to the committee, the board, it's gonna be gone, so we know that what's gonna happen. I would still say that even if the committee, highway committee approves to go forward, it still has to be approved by the board. And I still think if something does come available, it still needs the director's signature, and I would also say either my or the executive signature. So there has to be two people in the county that also approve it to be purchased. It's not just buying from here, John, or both of us, or something like that. Both of us might be tough to get both of our signatures, but do a hand or. So I'm usually available pretty much all day. John, not so much all the time. So
I think that's a very good idea, but I think it's a good idea that you start over every year. Because otherwise I could see it snowballing.
right, I would say put a 12-month limit on this.
So that what
potential.
we're doing right now says that would be putting it low.
I don't officially have anything written up, but yes, I would say,
But
12
you will
months.
put that in, what you write up.
And
I mean,
that would give us time, I think, to potentially outline that, and put that in a capital outlay for future years, instead of having to have a special item passed.
Basically, we're just pre-approving this money so we can buy something
Yes,
that day.
if by chance, I mean, like I said, I mean, the chances of something becoming available are probably gonna be pretty slim. But if that chance becomes available, like I said, last year, they gave us 8 hours. Called us in the morning, said we need to know by 5 o'clock tonight. Obviously, there's not a possibility of, let's try to, come through with that. So, yeah, this isn't just something that we're just gonna, go out there and purchase whatever. This, I mean, we have specific targets, what we're looking for. I mean, the biggest thing is when those 3 trucks got canceled that we had on order, that was a big hit for us. We had placed on order, orders were canceled. So, that's where our the issue is. But at least this gives us an opportunity, if they become available, we have that option. Like I said, I'm not, you stay optimistic that, hey, maybe there's a chance something comes available. That's why we went from, a single tandem triaxle to a quad axis. We covered all of those. If it would come up there, I mean, you can see they're pretty, price wise, they're pretty close in price. No
Which
matter.
one do you need most?
I mean,
If you had a,
our needs are probably the single, tandem, and triaxle. With really any of those 3. So yeah, I mean, it'd be really nice to get a single axle or a tandem axle, probably our 2 biggest needs. But like I said, it's, you don't know what's gonna come in, maybe, a township, maybe you purchased one and then they backed out and it's available type situation. That's what we're just
We
looking
have 3 on order, right? 3 new trucks,
for. Right.
and they're supposed to be here.
So 2 of them right now are the trucks, the cab and chassis came in,
Oh, okay.
and they're getting winter equipment put on right now. So 2 of them did come in. So our biggest thing now is just that we've, like the F-350, 450s, our quota was 1 vehicle. So we put in that, we haven't heard anything on that. But like I said, this just gives us the option if something comes available.
This would be a 4th truck. You got 3 ordered, so this would be a 4th.
Potentially, yeah.
And you want the ability to pick and choose out of the list.
These are our needs.
Yeah.
So what Paul asked is that, like with the single axle, that's gonna be the cheapest of the plow trucks, and the quad axle is gonna be the most expensive. So that was our range. So,
So you need to approve the funding for the highest one then, right?
well, correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Years ago, the highway department always had large amounts of money in reserves.
Yes.
And then county executive Vandy took it off the balance of budget. And, so that was down to that.
They don't have reserves.
Move to approve the ability to purchase highway equipment based on availability.
Second.
If I might, would you be willing to condition that based on, within the confines of the law?
This is just to move it forward. That'll come next.
Okay, is that my understanding then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna follow all the purchasing rules that we have to. It's just, at least for jurisdiction purposes, we can at least now have your approval to move forward and put all this together, put all the
Okay.
details together.
Sounds logical.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea, like Dave said, for a year, but this is a pandemic situation. We would normally have a year for year, then you know, adjust because it's only happening,
Right,
when we want availability and something that's not gonna be really bid on because people wanted to build it, right? Like that.
correct.
And then you want to be able to, within your chart, the 3 or 4 that you have, so you know that that's what we kind of are talking about. And all that. But you know, this will change. I mean, what did we pay for 10,000 over? What did they pay for the last one?
Right.
Or, we don't want that. We want to get away from that, trying to save money. That makes sense, right? Makes sense.
They've been telling us, I mean, that, you know, through all the quotes that we did receive, everything has been, you know, from 23, 24, 25, they're saying 10 to 15% additional adding on. So, you know,
Well, that's, how can they predict 24 and 25? We don't even know if inflation's gonna be here. We don't know what government we're gonna have.
They just throwing it out there.
I think they are, yeah.
I mean, for a situation though, is, I mean, like our last truck we purchased, I mean, you know, we had the quote, we didn't anticipate that, you know, $10,600 surcharge. If that 10 or 15% added in gives you a little, you know, room in there, but, yeah, who knows?
Well, you know how those dealers are, and they would add additional dealer profit.
You were a dealer, weren't you?
Well, I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. No, I didn't.
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm
No,
just
I
asking.
When they came up with that deal, it was just like, here, sales would have to be paid, the customer, just extra money they got, the state, let them take care of that. That's terrible. And then now, if you notice too, there's a lot of rebates coming out all of a sudden. There wasn't any rebates for a long time. Now they're coming down, that's gonna change. That's why I said yearly, this probably won't be a situation.
But how do you even, the average buyer like me, so I would like to get a different car from my wife, but how the hell do you even know what's what? I don't know.
I had a friend of mine buy a car, and since I went in, they told me I would not know when I was gonna get it, and put $500 down, and its prices whenever it comes in. That's, who the heck, I mean, I would never buy something with that, and it's like a loophole, and then they put the extra money on the end. Next, if you don't want it, come on, everybody, you're not, that's terrible, but that's something that we just took advantage of the situation. That's terrible.
I mean, hopefully, yeah, this is only this year. Hopefully this is the last year. We don't have to worry about it.
I can tell you driving around car lots, you start seeing a lot of solar than they used to.
Yeah, they got cars now and then they're discounting where they people like pictures.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right,
I,
Oops, carried.
so you're gonna find a funding source for this.
Well, general fund.
Set something up?
Yeah. You look at that. I'll just talk to Mary Ann.
Sure.
I know you said it, but
I would.
it have, the garbage is always, having that kitty or something, that things come up like it, always had. Now, you said the county had a kitty, but because no one ever used it, they decided to take it to balance the budget, you said Van Dyke.
Reserve, yeah.
But then they never put money back in it. Forgot.
So there's one, otherwise she would have raised the tax levy, but she didn't want that set, because she wanted to get reelected.
That's where all the kitty money went.
They all do the same.
Or something.
Number 5. Action approved budget amendment to purchase excavation equipment.
So I handed out a agenda item report. So we had approved for a grade all. So a grade all, I don't know if anybody's familiar with our
I'm
gray
very,
alls.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
so,
raise some concerns here.
yep,
I'm
so
very
our,
familiar.
so our gray all, it's a specialized piece of equipment. Obviously, it's a four-wheel drive piece of equipment. You know, does 55 miles an hour, can go on the highway, travel speeds with that. So our years, 3-4 years ago, we sold one and we bought a rubber tired excavator.
Previous commissioner.
Yep, previous commissioner, and it's slower. It's you know, probably under 30 miles an hour travel speed. So we always had two of them. So we looked at,
If I might
Sure.
interrupt, I don't
Yeah.
mind it, but the one they purchased really doesn't have the capability for the gray all, correct? The functional ability.
so the biggest thing is transporting. So
Yeah.
when they mobilize, the speeds on there, they can go on the highway. That's the biggest thing, time, you know, traveling. Another thing is on that sheet, there's a picture of a great all on that, agenda item report. The boom on this equipment is, it's not as high as an excavator. So when we come in, when we're doing ditching by power lines, you know, we can reach areas, the buckets tilt, which, excavators do that too. It's just a different attachment with it. We did get prices. We had budgeted, 500,000. You can see that the quote came in at 502, 500. So we started questioning the hours, we were putting on the piece of equipment, and, so then it brought us to the part that, 8 to 12 month lead time for purchasing this. So if we purchase this, we potentially be looking out at, potentially a year, if not more. So then we started weighing our options, looking around. We started looking at a track excavator, which is about half the price. It seems we're getting more and more requests for, work that requires that piece of equipment. The track machine. Typically we would rent or lease one, in addition. And so when we started looking at this, so for that same price that we had budgeted at 500,000, we could look at, purchasing. And then I had another sheet on there, you know, the excavator, we could get a drop neck trailer and a tractor to pull that, all within that price of that 500,000. That tractor trailer would also give us a little more mobility to is, right now we have, our semi trailer and a tag trailer that we use. When we go seal coating, you know, that once, like next month, we'll start seal coating. That piece of machine goes with the chip spreader and it's gone. So we only have really one trailer to mobilize anything, and if the paver has to go out, we're very limited with that. So if we would go this route with the excavator, tractor trailer, the tracked excavator, we found one that's available. It's on the lot. We could pick that up right away. Trailers and the tractor, potentially we would look at, a used tractor, semi tractor, pull that trailer. Trailers were available. So with these options, if we went with this, I mean, we'd be able to get that machine right away. And like I said, the added mobility, with the tractor trailer would give us a little bit more freedom with other equipment to moving it around. And then with the old Great All, you know, you look at, you know, when we purchased that in 2011, we paid, you know, 280,000, you know, it's almost doubled in price, to right now. With trading it in, we could get $15,000 for it. it's still in good shape. It's just, now we start looking, it's got 10,000 hours on the motor. So typically 10,000 hours when we start looking at rebuilds, things like that. So with what we're looking at here to do is, we would still keep the great all. We would use it in, emergency situations if we have, for trees and emergencies like that, if we have that. And then specialized ditching projects, we would still keep that piece of equipment and use it for those. But then that tracked excavator, we have so much more work with the town, setting so many more culverts, where the track excavator, gives us a little more flexibility with what we're doing. We can get into areas where rubber tire machine can't get to. It's faster than the great all. Great all is a slow piece of equipment, but for the ditching purposes and, it has its niche. So we would look at keeping that, and still use it for those situations.
And this amount of money has been on our plans.
Correct. This was already approved, the capital. Yeah. Yeah.
Why couldn't we get a trailer that we can pull with one of our trucks we already have?
We look at, so right now, the reason we would look at a bigger trailer. So with these trailers, they're lower to the ground. So potentially, anything we can move any piece of equipment we have with a trailer like that. With a tag trailer, they're so high and so steep. And that's the big thing is it's the equipment that we run. Like rubber tire rollers, steel drum rollers, they're hard to get up inclines like that. So what that does is to get up that incline, you gotta have momentum and you gotta go fast. It's not the safest way to go on those high trailers.
You have to do that with the track.
So the track machine with this drop neck would be a lower trailer. So these trailers.
That track wouldn't be able to go up that incline
But yes.
without getting up on high speed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the track machine, yes.
Yeah.
But any other piece of equipment, it's harder. And then we would be able to, if we would have one of our trucks go down, we could load a truck and trailer that instead of having it towed. With that too. So it just gives us more flexibility.
This is just this new plan that's giving you more options. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
And this is what you prefer?
Yeah, I talked to our superintendents and the work that's coming in from the state and the towns. We have more use for a track machine. But like I said, the great all still has its niche, but to sell it for $15,000, we might as well keep it and use it for those specific purposes. For $15,000, we traded in. It's nothing. So we might as well, keep it and use it for those situations. To be out every single day, we put less hours on it, but we're still gonna, be able to handle the services to the towns, where it's needed. So it definitely gives us more flexibility too. Like I said, it's just not to move the excavator. We can move so much more equipment then and give us a little more flexibility where, typically we have to wait for a trailer to move equipment. This would help us out on that end too.
Go ahead.
Well, I certainly would agree with keeping the grade off. And I think if you need an extra trailer and a cab to pull it, that should be entertained and pursued. But I think we should buy another grade all. In my knowledge, that is the most universal piece of equipment we have. And if it's got a lot of hours on it, our focus should be replacing, not substitute a track excavator for it. It's not gonna have the same function. So I would.
We're still gonna.
Support getting a new grader. That would be my focus.
Yeah,
What you originally thought was.
right. So obviously when the prices.
It's really a good piece of equipment.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do if the engine blows on it? Well, you got 10,000 hours, you're correct, it's getting.
So right now, so potentially, we could run this year.
Yeah.
If we deem, hey, we want to rebuild that motor, we can have the motor rebuilt. um, on it.
Yeah, is that something you would pursue?
For sure. I mean, if we have intentions, I mean, to keep this, yeah, definitely we can afford to put some money into it to keep
Yes.
it running. It's just that, I mean, the hours with the grade all, we've seen the trending less hours being put on a grade all from the townships and more need for a tracked excavator.
If I had a tracked excavator, is that like a grade all function? Does it have, I'm not sure what that is.
So,
Is it kind of like the other one that the previous commissioner bought?
so a tracked excavator, I mean, is just like that. So instead of,
Oh, yeah.
Instead
Yeah,
of being
I'm familiar
like-
with them.
yeah.
Yeah,
So what happens is so like right now, you're limited with a rubber tire machine to stay on the roadway on a hard
Mhm.
surface. So where you're limited with reach with the grade all, the track machine, you can track off
yeah,
the
you go off
roadway
service, but
with
yeah,
that,
gives you more flexibility.
right?
So
So
we currently rent that?
a
We
track
rent
machine,
one?
they're hard to, I mean, years ago, yeah, it was, you could get one, we could call tomorrow and have one, your call today and have one tomorrow. It's harder to get equipment, like our loaders for the winter. We've got one vendor that'll give us loaders for the winter. There's the equipment's not out there. So that's where we start looking at, 12 months, maybe longer to get this. So that's what we're trying to do is we're looking at the options with this. We're putting less hours on the grade all, but we're gonna still keep this to be able to provide that service with that. And the track machine, we have more work for a track machine that we can, put to use. And we have needs for a trailer to haul equipment for
Yeah, trailer,
mobilizing
that kind
too.
of
So we're
person,
looking at this as we're gonna get the equipment that's needed, that we see the need for, and we're still gonna be able to provide that service with that grade all. So we're looking at it this way. It's a win-win for both situations with this. We're gonna cover everything with it. And yeah, if we do have to stick some money into the grade all, it's in good shape. We can definitely do that.
So what are you looking for from us on total dollar amount?
So all we want to do is just a budget transfer, right?
Yes.
So all this is gonna be a budget transfer. So we had the back sheets got
Total 500,000.
correct.
Yeah,
And to be honest, I think we'll be under the 500,000 with this equipment. We should be well under that.
By the time they read these minutes and everything else.
Well, we do have, we did go through and get all the, I mean, we have the quotes already. So we have that, and this machine, like I said, is on a lot that's available. So all we're looking for is the highway committee support to move forward with this. So that's what we're looking for.
I'm gonna oppose. Go ahead. Second.
And move the second. Any further discussion?
No, this was. Could anybody object? Cause it was budgeted for this and now we're gonna change it to that.
Right.
But are we gonna catch any flag from that?
I mean, what we did was, so when we look at this, I mean, a grade all is a name of the company, okay? When it comes down to it, I mean, this is an excavator, it's a rubber tired excavator. This piece, is a tracked excavator. Even though whether it's a Cat, Volvo, Komatsu. So that's where when we come into, it's such a specialized piece of equipment. And the grade all name is tied to that. So, I mean, really, we're just trading excavation equipment is what it comes down to.
And Eddie,
Well, correct.
I guess I'm the one who said get called out in the captain of the grade off. So I will become that's just buying something different than getting the import.
well, so that's the reason.
Do a transfer, yeah.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, one member.
Number 6, discussion on increased cost of construction projects.
As we're all we're well aware of, the inflation that's been hitting us on projects and everything in the country. Obviously, our projects, we have our County Road P project. County Road P was approved back in 2020. And that is using STP urban funding. So that urban funding is 80% funded by the federal government, 20% by the local. Because County Road P is county jurisdiction, it falls within the village of Fox Crossing and the city of Menasha. This project was chosen because of that, because of, there's not just one municipality that is gaining out of this. There's 3 municipalities that are in there. So Winnebago County is the sponsor of this project. Village of Fox Crossing and City of Menasha are co-sponsors. So our 20% that the county would be required to pay is being split with those 2 other municipalities. So when this project originally came up, the estimated price was 7.2 million. Okay, back in 2020, estimated. We're at this 60% design phase. We're looking to start acquiring real estate for this project. But they did also recheck the figures on the price of the project. So the total costs end up coming up at 9.2 million. So obviously we were short on funds. I reached out to the MPO and and mentioned, hey, about the funding part of this. So we were able to obtain an additional funding for this project. It is from the bill funding. So it is federally funded through that bill, additional 2.7 million for this project. So the DOT kind of put us on a hold till we could work out the funding. But now the funding is approved. The only thing I'm waiting for is SMA contract to come through to sign that. So where we're at now is we're back to that percent federally funded. So which is good, which is a really good deal that additional funds were made available and we were able to utilize the bill funding. So we appreciate getting that money to keep this project going. And we're looking at 2025 construction for this project. So we do have time before this project goes through. We hope prices don't go up again. But at least for right now, we did get that additional funding to keep this project rolling, and it is funded at this point. So
It's funded by the ARPA fund.
no, this is the bill money, the
But I
BIL.
guess, would we apply for ARPA funds for at least?
I mean, potentially we could. It is, we rather than, going for the ARPA or Spirit Fund money, we were able to obtain bill money, 2.7 million, which is better, that we were able to obtain that funding.
How much do we bond for? I think that's your reference, right? Because we had approved bonding, but I think if I might have, sort of the county exec wants to keep that at 8 to 10 million a year for the bonding. For the county. So as I read the agenda item, our request for increased funding for road construction or maintenance, probably more construction than maintenance, is going to be increasing as we go forward. The question becomes, if we have this parameter of 8 to 10 million or less, where we're gonna get the money, and I think we got good news yesterday. Our state aids are gonna probably double. So you're looking at quite a chunk of money coming from the state. I suggest we might want to avail ourselves of the department and committee to consume part of that funding for our roads, right? Cause then you wouldn't have to bond for it. It's an appropriation issue.
Right.
Right, so. Hopefully that'll take care of that, but problem is all the departments are gonna be after it also.
Right, and that's why, I mean, with this bill money, you know, it was fantastic. We were able to take advantage, get that funding.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good move, you know.
So, yeah, so I mean, when you come down to it, I mean, you know, whether our portion, you know, 1.5 million, a little more, you know, and Fox Crossing, City of Menasha, and then the rest is gonna be, you know, this federal funding.
If I might offer a suggestion, my observation is we somewhat have a golden goose here between the feds, state. We got a lot of money coming, right? So you might want to prioritize the high projects that you want to get done in the future and move them up while the money's available.
Sure.
Because I suspect the day is coming when that money won't be.
Right. I mean, the one thing is, I mean, this STP urban funding is already approved.
Yes.
You know, whether to turn that down and try to get bill money, I just don't think it's
I'm
worth
not
it.
suggesting that.
Not whatsoever. I mean, we have a great opportunity right here, and we were offered a substantial amount of money to keep this project going. I mean, that part of it, but yeah, any future funding for projects for sure. I mean, we definitely would entertain. I mean, that's why, I mean, it was important to keep this project on track up
Yeah,
here.
anything like that, I would suggest move it up, keep it going, but
Sure.
Secure funding.
So
It's
we
gonna
didn't
be
have to
available.
cheapen that project at all?
No, well, we didn't have to cut it in half. See, the biggest, what we looked at is, you know, what could we cut? Could we make it narrower? Could we eliminate a sidewalk on one side? Well, you're talking such a small amount of
Yeah.
money. So what you start looking at is cutting the project in half. Instead of going from 8P to 47, maybe only do half of it. But what do? You know, yep, you're saving money there, but that other section, that small section, the next time it comes time to do that, your prices go up, you know, and so, I mean, the opportunity to get the additional funding right now is a perfect, so at least we can keep on track with this.
And that covered our portion also, so
This
our.
is gonna cover any of the inflation that went up, that's gonna cover, yes. Not to say, I mean, like I said, construction's 2025. Hopefully it doesn't keep going up like, you know, but as of right now, it puts us back at that 80-20. So we're only responsible for that 20% of the total cost. So that 9.2 is gonna be 20%. It's split between county and the two other municipalities.
You might wanna, is the committee all aware of STP, what that means? Maybe I wanna tell them.
So there's,
That's part of, that group you belong to, East Central, right, they're involved in that.
yes. So when you apply for this funding, so there's STP urban, there's STP rural. So obviously this section being close to the city of Menasha, it's an urban project. If you get out in rural townships, you're gonna have rural money that's in this. So it's based upon, you know, like this is, you know, the price of the project and the population of where you're serving. So they'll take a area in there, whatever that population is, and that's how it's based upon. One thing too is that this money that's split up, this federal money, I mean, the MPO will take, East Central will, you know, allot this money, split it up on these projects. And because Winnebago County jurisdiction is a sponsor, City of Menasha and Village of Fox Crossing are all part of this. It's very lucrative at that point to award a project like that because there is other municipalities that are involved rather than just one. So this is just Winnebago County. Nobody else really gets to see that, but at least Fox Crossing and Menasha. This is gonna do a lot for those communities in that area. So if you look up there, I mean, in the past, County Road 80P, I think that was back when John Hayes was here. That went to a 4-lane curb and gutter with sidewalks and, it did a lot for that area up there. And then I think this section of Road P is just gonna accent the rest of this area up there, so.
So what is this?
So this is the funding, the federal funding that,
It's an acronym
It's-
for, strategic something or other.
where is it here?
I know they use all acronyms, but nobody knows. what they're all about. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, I
federal
think-
funding source.
Yeah, I can
It
get you
filters
exactly
down
what
through.
the funding, the difference between them. But this is an urban funding, so it's like, it's more city. Than, county road. So that's why you're looking at the concrete curb and gutter, sidewalks and then, so part of this is gonna include, sidewalks and bike accommodations. And that's why this project was chosen with that, is because of the criteria that what the design's gonna be. So if we would remove, say we would remove sidewalk, we could potentially lose funding if we didn't put that, because that's part of this criteria that you're awarded this funding. So, yeah, even the bike accommodations, if you were to remove any part of that, that's why to look at the scope of the project, we would risk losing this funding if we did any of those. So,
This is crazy. I mean, we talk about the ARPA money all the time. And then they took some away from that project because they want to put for infrastructure. How do you find these? I mean, I'm surprised that there's all these little pockets of money that our government has all over the place. And here, how did you come across this one here?
so these are typical it's typical funding that's always out there. It's just that you have to meet the criteria to apply for these. So like I said, that situation up there, we couldn't apply like, County Road T out here, that wouldn't apply to that funding. So it's very specific to what's involved with that project and where it's located.
What do you do? Because now this is 2025, 2 years back and and then I think you said you were short 2 million, but you got 2.7, so you got a little extra. What if it's 2 million more? How do we go look for these more pockets money again, or?
I mean, one thing is that this federal funding for this, we're not the only project that's having this. So there is other projects out in the county, all over the region. So that's why it's important with, going back to East Central with the MPO with that and working with them for additional funding. The state gets involved with these projects too. So hopefully we won't see such big jumps in costs. And if we do by 2025, then I guess we're gonna be back here, trying to figure out how we can, come up with that additional funding, so.
I just hear all the time about all the money that the government has out there because of the pandemic or whatever. And they talk about, well, some of it was used and some of it is still there not being, which brings up the thing where they're gonna take it for something else, but you're not taking it. Now they're having tendency, now they're going back and collecting money that people didn't use, misuse. So there's a lot of money hanging out there, but they're, okay, now you didn't use it, we're gonna take some back. We finally got more of this kitty. There's a lot sitting out there. And this is the old project. I'm sure we're gonna have more projects. We're gonna need more money or extra. They're not going down in price, right? So we're gonna be doing this.
I mean, everything has gone up. I mean, asphalt prices have been up, 20-30%. So, I mean, concrete's probably been up just as much. Any of these projects are getting affected with this. I mean, our biggest with this project was the concrete pipe. There was some vendors bought out other vendors and the prices went way up. And then obviously concrete prices went up. So there's all different type of factors. I mean, stone goes up every year, fuel.
Just so you're aware, Dave is our man on East Central. He's our.
It's the taxpayers' money, it's not.
No, that's why I said.
If it's not getting spent, it should do that.
It just, yeah, and they
It
talked about,
shouldn't, we shouldn't be looking for ways to spend it. We shouldn't be creating projects to spend it.
No, but we should be willing to accept it, because if we don't accept it, somebody else.
Oh,
will.
yeah, it's about, that's where you central.
The funding for this project, not even, like I said, for what it's gonna do for those, municipalities up there. You know, Village of Fox Crossing has a lot of, water issues up there. By putting the storm sewer, we're gonna oversize it. It's gonna huge benefits for them. City of Menasha, I mean, this will open up, you know, for everybody. So it'll be a good thing for that community, up there. So, like I said, if you don't take advantage of it, some other community will have their hand out and willing to accept the funding. So I think it's, you know, glad to have and glad to get the extra money with it, so we don't have to come back and use, you know, ARPA money. So,
East
What
Central
David
was,
County and Outagamie County are the two largest payers, like we pay just under 200,000, or maybe it's 400,000, and then Outagamie County pays 280 to 300,000, and all these other little little townships, counties, they have on these.
see, East Central is your MPO, and they approve these SDP projects. They review them, approve and recommend. That's where Dave comes in. And they actually have a guy up there that does that. That's his full-time job. Once these projects are approved, then it moves to the county level and where Bob is right now and all that kind of stuff. So there's a whole chain of command involved. So it's important to have a county person at the table at East Central to get all this done.
But to your point, though, is, what the point was made on the grants. Sometimes, I mean, I know I talked to Mike Elder at facilities, and he just got an email. You have a grant for $78,500. Like, for what? Sometimes that seems the way you learn about it is you're in these groups or members or on
Right,
something, and then all of a sudden it's like there's money. I mean, it's like, I don't know, I keep thinking there's gotta be a better way, or having somebody in charge of a team for the county of the grant team with a facilitator, but that again,
Well,
you're,
then we hire a grant writer once.
I don't, I've only been there 6 months, so I don't know. I mean, I look at it as more of a grant team. With not just a writer, but somebody.
Well, that's what I'm kind of referring to.
Right. So I know I've heard talked about that, but I mean, it seems like each of the highway, they have their people looking at it, you know, facilities. It's like kind of segmented because of the specialties, right? So it's tough to have one.
And I think your boss is against adding people to the budget. Yeah.
really, I know I'm on human services. They get $2.5 or $3 million. They get one bid money to the same. Like that's what they're always every year. It seems like they have that extra money. They don't have any idea where it came from. I got it. It goes into the pot.
Human services is responsible for all our reserves.
Oh, yeah.
All the millions
Yeah, right,
they
that's
million.
All the millions they over budget.
Million five every year.
Never changes.
Yeah.
Learn a lot.
I suggest, gentlemen, there's a few of us, but in Dave's case, it's the experience and wisdom that you gain over all these years, because government is complex as hell. It's kind of unfortunate, really, but it's very complex. So everything ties into one another.
On the road.
You done?
yeah, so yeah, that finished up that.
General operations.
Just to go over a few things, so, recently, all highway employees participated in safety training. That was by Wisconsin County Mutual Insurance, sponsored by them.
Start over. I was thinking of something, but something. Go ahead.
Oh, so all our employees, all our employees went to a safety training that was sponsored by Wisconsin Mutual Insurance. They provide safety training around the state yearly. The last 3-4 years, I don't whatever happened, Winnebago County did participate in these. So we are back on, attending those trainings. We had some go to Sheboygan, just so we had some crews here, so everybody wasn't off. They attended one in Sheboygan, one was up in Neenah at the hotel up there. And then just this week, Monday, we had some go to Stevens Point that were on vacation or whatever, so it was really good training. It was all day training, a lot of good topics from with them, so it's a good partnership and good opportunity for training. Typically, if we didn't attend that training, it was no cost to us. I mean, we did bus everybody up, so we had a bus to take everybody up there, but otherwise it was paid for, by Wisconsin Mutual Insurance. So it was a good training, and we look forward to partnering with them in the future with that training.
They insure us now.
Yeah, David's, are you on the board? And so, yeah, good
That's why they're
organization.
providing the training, because they.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, they provided some really good training. It was all day training, so it was,
They feed them?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
sack lunch, box lunch, I think.
You want, they feed them.
You can't imagine how good that. You would never believe the places we go up to eat. I mean, and fancy places, I mean, it's just like.
This was, they had a box lunch it was a box lunch. It wasn't,
He's on the board of directors, so that's,
Yeah, not good to eat.
it's an insurance company guy. May I ask how the wage increase went? Pretty well. Everybody's happy now?
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you're not gonna please everybody, but I think, all in all, yeah. So yeah, we're moving forward.
We got that all worked out.
Yeah. So it's, the anticipation up to that point, we're over that hurdle and now we're on to the next one. So, we just keep moving forward. So,
You're saying there's always gonna be a hurdle? Probably.
I mean, I think it's with anything. I mean,
Anytime you got employees. you got-
right. I mean, we had, it was brought up, with safety, we didn't have a safety committee. I mean, we started a safety committee. We've been on for a couple months now. We're always finding something to address, and we're taking them head on. So, I mean, you look at, we've got all these small victories we keep checking off. So yeah, I mean, there's always gonna be something we can work better, to do. And, so we got a lot of work this year. You look back through COVID, when it first came out, you looked at is how are you gonna keep a crew, I mean, a staff like ours, when you have to plow the roads. So, I mean, we didn't miss anything. Our employees did not miss anything. So when you look at what they have accomplished through these times, I mean, I don't know how you'd ever, you can thank them for that. I mean, we did not miss, there was never a day we did not plow snow. Or, I mean, while it was going on, we took advantage of nobody on the roads. We were working nights during the days on 41 patching. We didn't miss anything. So, so it says a lot about our employees. So we got a lot of new employees that have been, a lot retired, a lot of new ones came in, and I guess, well, that'll lead me right into this next one. So
I did that accident. Well, you worked with them.
So we have been hiring people. We have 2 more operators starting next week. So knock on wood, that will put us for the operators at full staff. We still have a mechanic position open. We have a couple mechanics on family medical that are off. But these 2 last positions should fill us up. And I think we do have another retirement coming up shortly, so we'll be back. But
Like medical, like where it's gonna affect their long-term medical. I remember that kid that fell off the ladder, that was.
Yeah, I mean, the family medical, I mean, I don't, we really can't get too much into that. I mean, they're on family medical. I mean, it's not,
Well, family medical and that kind of medical is different. The kid that
Well-
fell off the ladder.
well, that's like that would be like a workman's comp. You know, so these are two different situations. You know, hopefully they're not, you know, long-term with that, but a couple things we have done. So we did, I've been working with HR. I mean, always, I mean, we typically had summer help, you know, college kids that came in during the summer. It's been real hard to fill those. So we did have a retired operator that's been retired for a few months. And we're gonna bring him back on staff. And actually he starts on the June 1st. We're gonna bring him back as temporary highway help. He's limited to some X amount of hours to work. So he'll be we'll be able to put him in whether mowing or he still has a CDL. We can still utilize him for anything that we've done. He was a great employee for us, and obviously his experience when we had the opportunity to bring him back, HR did a lot of work with that to bring him back. So we have him coming back. That'll give us some help. That'll free up another position, you know, that we can do other work with. And right now we're looking at, we do have a potential working on the same situation, some temporary help for a mechanic. We have an individual that is looking for something to do. He's necessarily retired, coming out of retirement. He's worked in the industry for a long time. So I think hopefully we can work towards making him an offer to help us out as mechanic. That'll help us out with in there. And who knows? I don't know. You know, maybe maybe it'll look into, maybe he's willing to, you know, stick around for some time. We'll see how that goes. But so those two temporary help positions are really going to help us out with internally with the work we have going on. The paver, we're going to start asphalt paving tomorrow. So tomorrow will be the first day our paver goes out. We've got a lot of paving to do this year. So we're going to, typically what happens is when we first start like this, we do our paver patching in order for seal coating. So we're going to start out up in Wolf River with some paver patching up there tomorrow. And then we'll start going to the townships and our county roads to prepare for seal coating. And then the first week in June is we'll start seal coating. So our chip spreader will start making the rounds here. Obviously, I mean, we also do, you know, out in Amy County, the surrounding counties do seal coating too. So a lot of them are already on the schedule for that. I think this year we're going to be up in Door County. If I remember, I think the commissioner told me they had some work on Washington Island. So we'll have to take that ferry across to Washington Island, do some work over there. So, yeah, so that's where, like, you know, with that trailer, going back to that trailer, that's where when that piece of equipment leaves, it's gone for a week or two. Typically it's almost a whole month that tractor trailer is gone. So that's why it's so important that, you know, another tractor trailer like that help us out on that end. So yeah, so we're starting off real quick here, paving and the seal coating, and then once we get done with that seal coating, then we'll get into our paving projects. So we've got a lot of work this year from the towns, a lot of work on our county system. So we're going to be really busy this year, a lot of work.
If I might, I want to thank you and being commissioner now. He is reversing the policy of the previous commissioner. The previous commissioner did towns last. You're doing them up front, because what was happening is you get into September, October, and the towns had all these requests for paver patching, etc. And it would start getting colder and you wouldn't get work done, you run out of time. So yeah, I really appreciate your turning that
Yeah, I
around.
mean, it's a balance,
Working
it's hard
better
to
with the
balance.
towns,
Yeah, it's very hard to balance. You know, I don't think they went out and just said, hey, we're not, it's just, it's a balance. When
Yeah,
try
you
to
ran
sit
out of
out and-
time, but you did.
Yeah, so when there's, things we look at is if there's other construction projects that are going on in those areas, we try to stay out of those areas and, so, yeah, we're doing the best. I mean, like,
That's, really
before the seal
appreciate it.
coating, we'll go and do our paver patching right away.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah,
good.
we're doing the best we can with getting around and getting that work done, so.
Is the state allocating any funding for fixing, you got Highway 45, 41's probably done. Where they were cutting out the sections of the highway, they still gonna keep.
Oh,
doing
yeah,
that?
we do, yes, we have some DMA money that, we'll be back out doing concrete patching.
Last year was $1 million or whatever they.
So it was quite that much, but yeah, we've been using every nickel they
And I
give us.
gotta say, our county employees, if you drive, just take 45 and go to Stevens Point, a lot, my son lives up in that area. You get into Wapaka County, they must have trouble making the patches level. Cause
Right.
there's a big difference in work quality between Winnebago County
Yeah,
and Wapaka County.
They farmed some of that out.
Is that what they did? Man, I mean, you gotta bump
Well,
down.
even in Winnebago County, it. Can't believe they did it.
And I might add, also notice it's on, I think, 45. They must have come through with a machine that grinds it real smooth.
oh, profile mill,
That's right up by Rat River Creek up there where it crosses. You get on the other side, they ground it down.
okay.
They ground the surface down. It's just a smooth glass.
Yeah,
Really
Michael's
nice.
had a project last year. Michael's had that big project up there. So yeah, and I know when Tom Buchholz was here for the DOT, I know Tom made mention of that too, that, how nice of a job our crews do on the concrete.
Oh,
Yeah, so yeah, definitely,
Notably different.
so when you hear it from the DOT, so yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, kudos to the crew that's out there. They do a fantastic job. So
Yeah.
it's getting noticed by, regional directors. Yeah, so that says a lot for our employees. Yeah, definitely. So, that's about all I had.
Next meeting date,
What were you doing by Wausau yesterday? There was that parking lot full of the corrugated pump.
That walk off. I'm not sure what they had out there. I can find out what they.
And then today there was nobody. It was, I don't know, there was just a ton of people out there. I was expecting more to be there today, but
I can check with the superintendents what
it's
they.
not that big. Just curious what they were doing.
next meeting date,
June 19th work.
You make a fancy phone out there.
Hopefully it's a rainy day and the fish aren't biting.
Third Monday of the month.
I don't think.
I haven't gone out fishing. Normally out there all the time, but my wife has a ship when I go over.